Welcome to the AL.com film room. I'm Matt Scalisi here with Cole Cubelic, our Auburn football analyst, and we're going to be taking a look at Auburn's win over LSU from the past weekend, especially taking a look at a few of the bigger plays from this Auburn offense in this game. Cole, just a dominant performance from Auburn. Just your takeaway in general from what we saw out of this team. Are they peaking right now in terms of what they're capable of doing offensively?
Well, Matt, I think this team is growing, and this is an Auburn offense. We can go back last year, go back to 2009 and 10 under Gus Malzahn. You're beginning to see a trend now that it takes a little while for his offense to develop. He wants his offense to grow. He wants game repetitions to figure out where he wants to go with the football, what personnel groupings work best for him, and how he wants to manage that offense. And I think you're seeing them get close to that. I think he understands who his first running back is going to be. Obviously, Cameron Artis-Payne, some different things Nick Marshall can do. And we've seen them tinker with some different plays. But now I think they have the best five at offensive line. We mentioned that last week with Avery Young at right tackle, Danzy at left guard. We'll see both of those guys here when we look at a few plays. And I think Nick Marshall's getting a little more confident as well. They've seen a few things that people are going to do defensively to try and subtract some plays, and they've kind of counterpunched that. And look, and they've really had success off of that. So I don't think they're peaking, but I think they're headed towards the peak, honestly.
Well, let's take a look at a couple of their more effective plays in this game and maybe break down why they were able to be so successful against LSU. All right, so one of the things Auburn was able to really hurt LSU with pretty consistently in this game was Nick Marshall on the ground. Let's take a look at a play from this game where he was able to do that early.
And Matt, one thing we talked about last week that we expected Gus Malzahn to do was spread the field a little bit more, try to widen this defense out, try to give more guys to the outside, give them some more running room here on the inside. You can see that four wide receiver set. Even though it's still your base 4-3 look, those outside linebackers are going to have to respect the slot receivers. This is the first play of the game for Auburn offensively, and it's really a nice job by Devontae Danzy at left guard. And we mentioned him. When he pulls with bad intentions. He really wants to find someone in a different color jersey and go make contact. Watch him from the left guard spot. Going to pull around. Just need a little bit on that inside linebacker. Nick Marshall has enough quickness to get north and south and go make a play. And you see right there really what a bind it puts those outside linebackers in. They have to stay wide and respect those slot receivers. And when Nick Marshall gets north and south, you have to make a decision very quickly. If not, it's going to be big yardage for the fast quarterback.
All right, a little bit later in the first quarter, we get to see something a little bit fun, a little bit different out of this offense.
Yeah, pretty cool. And again, I'll point out, this defensive wizard that people talk about at LSU, this base 4-3 defense, about as ordinary as you're going to get. So really not the magician pulling rabbits out of his hat, so to speak, that a lot of people believe that John Chavis is. Very ordinary look. And again, you run plays like this to keep defenses off balance. It's not always even to have success within the game that you call the plays, to set up other plays and to force teams to prepare for plays like this. Just going to be a reverse, kind of a throwback pass. Jeremy Johnson, your backup quarterback, is going to be lined up here. But watch the center, Reese Dismukes. It's slide protection, so gap protection. He's going to slide one step to his right, and he's going to end up one-on-one with a defensive tackle. A very tough spot to be without giving ground to gain ground first. So he goes flat rather than a lot of times you'll see in a pass set, offensive linemen take a step back, they pass set back, give ground to gain ground. That way, if you get anything laterally, you have time to react. This time, it's just a lateral set for Reese Dismukes, and he's able to handle the LSU defensive tackle. Gives up a little bit of a push, but it's okay because he keeps his hands inside and keeps that defender in front of him. That allows Jeremy Johnson plenty of room to operate, deliver a nice pass. There you see Reese keep the hands inside, keep working. Some of that visual deception back there helps him a little bit. You saw the defensive lineman kind of redirect. That gives him a little help. Jeremy Johnson, a nice throw. Sammy Coates, a great catch. Just fun to give your guys an opportunity to go make those plays, but also the coaches know down the road, there's value in putting that on film and forcing other teams to prepare. Matt, we talked about Auburn going with more wide receiver heavy packages. And one thing that does, if you're an offense and you want to run the ball, it puts more little guys on the field. And obviously, if you're running the ball, especially north and south, you want more little guys on the field. Here, nickel package, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs in for LSU. And again, getting creative, that mythical defense of John Chavis, you got your base 4-2 defense. So it's really nothing crazy that's really happening here. It's easy to recognize this front. You're going to get safety help walk up. We talked about the last 2 weeks, Kansas State and Louisiana Tech, bringing that extra defender down close to the outside of the line of scrimmage, trying to force a false read by Nick Marshall. And when this play gets going, when the zone read gets going, what it does, it puts your defenders in a bad situation. They have to make a decision. You'll see even with safety help down here in the box, this young man's going to have to make a decision to play this inside or outside. He's not really sure what's happening. My opinion is this is just a design run north and south. You have a 10-point lead. The run game's going. Let's try to hurt these guys between the tackles, mainly because of the personnel grouping that we have caught LSU in. We know we can have success going north and south against this look. So Nick Marshall going to show the zone read, going to give a nice little fake there after he hands the football off. And we'll see on the back end zone shot of this, that one little hesitation, and you'll see the safety come down. Watch him have to make a decision there on Nick Marshall. That one hesitation, that step up, that allows Cameron Artis-Payne to get to the second level, and then there's nobody left on the third level, turns into a big play for the Auburn Tigers. Matt, again, more of a dime look even this time from John Chavis and this LSU defense. A lot of DBs here on the field. So it's kind of a three-man front, two linebackers in, going to bring some pressure. But when Nick Marshall's able to run the football, especially north and south quickly, you get an extra blocker. Now all of a sudden, you got 6 blockers, and you're just going to be able to quickly find your way north and south. When you walk these linebackers up like LSU does, it gives you a lot of room on the second level. You better make a tackle on the third level or you're going to be in trouble. Love the decisiveness of Nick Marshall to just hit the hole very quickly on this play. Shows pass and then boom, north and south. And you can see what this does when I talk about putting defenders in a bad situation. When we go to the back end, watch 52, linebacker to the right side of your screen. He has to run with that running back out of the backfield. So he's either going to be a blocker or he's going to take him out of the play in a pass route, one or the other. But again, it puts your defense in a bind. It forces defenders to make poor decisions because they must respect the other aspects of your offense. But when Nick Marshall gets north and south in a hurry like that, it's tough to stop.
All right, Cole. Well, as you've pointed out here, this Auburn offense really rolling, really starting to get some momentum now. What are the keys for this team as they go into this big matchup with Mississippi State this weekend and face that Mississippi State defense?
You know, man, I think this run game is going to need to continue to go and continue to improve. There are some facets that can continue to get better. But I actually do think, and a lot of people said this last week, I think Auburn needs to throw the ball more to win this football game. Mississippi State is 123rd in the country in pass defense. There's 2 teams worse that give up more yards per game than Mississippi State. They've given up 9 touchdowns through the air. They have trouble covering. Auburn has legitimate wide receiver threats. I think this is going to be the time that you see Gus Malzahn, Rhett Lashley show a lot more run, give some more run looks, but challenge this team vertically down the field. I think Auburn has the playmakers on the perimeter, and I think the deficiency in Mississippi State's defense is their secondary and is in coverage. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to get away from the run, and they're still going to use some of that visual deception to create things in the run game. But this is a game to me where in other games I would say I don't think Auburn has to throw the football to win. I actually do think Auburn needs success in the air to win this football game. Actually, I'll say they have to have success through the air to win this football game. Now, don't get it wrong. That doesn't mean we have to have the Halliday kid from Washington State throw for 700-something yards. He doesn't have to throw, go 48 for 70 for 4 touchdowns and 652. But there will need to be an aerial attack for Auburn's offense to defeat Mississippi State.
All right, well, later this week, we're going to take a look at Mississippi State's offense and the challenges they might pose to Auburn's defense. Join us again on the Film Room.